we've got to be willing to grow. Your department will not grow any faster than you are. As leaders in this room, you set the pace of growth for your team.
Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it.
I'm going to attempt to make it all 30 minutes today with my voice. Yesterday at orientation was a little bit of a struggle. People thought I was probably dying up there, but we're going to get some good stuff in. So we've got 2 more laws to go through, and then we'll officially be done with the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by Maxwell. So you've essentially pretty much read a book. So congrats to you guys. We've got 2 chapters left, and it's exciting. I've already got kind of the next one picked out that I think we can work out of that'll be a nice piggyback off of this one. But today we're going to talk about the law of explosive growth. So as I first dove into this chapter to reread yesterday, I'm immediately met by the quote that Maxwell has regarding this law, which to add growth, lead followers, to multiply, lead leaders. So you've got 2 philosophies here. There's growth by addition and there's growth by multiplication. Obviously, you don't have to be a mathematician to know that you would rather multiply than continually add. So I'm going to start off with a story. So, back during the COVID years, and this is something I talk about quite a lot because people ask us you guys experienced explosive growth over those years. And we did, right? Between 21 and 22, we doubled in size, both people and revenue. Pretty remarkable. Not many companies do that, but there were also a lot of factors baked into that. COVID made our phones ring off the hook. And so in my wisdom, the way to grow during that time was to add as many humans as humanly possible, whether that be train them in top tech, whether that be find them off the streets, whatever it was. We were going to hire the most people possible to try to keep up with the demand that was there. And we were successful at this, successful at adding people. In 22, we added 300 people in 365 days. That is absurd. Most people who ask me, I say, don't do that. Not fun. You'll break a lot of stuff, and you'll have to figure it out on the back end. So we simply added people because we thought that was the solution. We added people without a great orientation. We added people without KPIs, without path to progression, without really a fully baked out training program, all of the things that we've worked over the last 18 months to build to make sure that we're sustainable. We did it without all of those things. Now, you can imagine what a mess that would be, right? And it was. Not in the moment, but afterwards. After we had added all of these people, gave them no means of judging their progress, how do I get to the next level, all of the things we talk about today, we had none of it. Now, some would say that's just part of business, right? You're going to add, you're going to break things, you're going to go back and say, oh, shoot, we should do that differently. And that's all great. And I'm really proud of all the work that we've done to correct that. It's okay to add people, but what kind of situation are we going to put them in? And so when we go back to that quote, to add growth, lead followers, to multiply, lead leaders. So what did we forget? Well, we forgot to develop people. We forgot to build leaders. We just added people, hoping that that would take care of growth. Now, in the short term, it did, quite aggressively. But then last year was tough because we didn't have any of that shit built. And we're trying to tell people this is a great place to work and you'll love it here and all of this stuff. Meanwhile, all of this shit is broken. So kudos to you guys for keeping everybody happy, because I didn't do my job in building all the infrastructure that would allow you guys to be successful and ultimately build leaders. So when we think about addition versus multiplication, what are the ingredients for multiplication? So when I think about this law, I'll take some of you back. I may go way over some of your guys' heads because I am getting older. But when I was little, the cool toy was Connects, right? Anybody have Connects? If you know me well enough, I love direction. Like, you give me the directions, I'll follow those bad boys. So I remember one Christmas, I got the roller coaster. Anybody remember that thing? It was like 6 foot, 8 foot long. I had a whole corner carved out in our basement, and Tyler was trying to knock it over. I was batting him away. I was like, just let me sit there. I sat there for probably like 8 hours and put this thing together. It was like 6 feet long, probably 4 feet tall, but you had to clip all these things together. So my fingers were raw by the end of Christmas Day, but it had a motor on it and it would roll the car. Who says I'm not mechanically inclined? I know how to work with Connects. That's about it. But I actually saw some the other day. I wanted to get them for the kids, but I figured they'd lose every single piece. So we're going to wait a few years out until we do the Connects. But when I think about multiplication, when I think about building leaders, it's like you have those wheels on the Connects and they have like those spines on them. And if you have one by itself, well, you can't really do a whole lot, right? And you have to keep it moving. But when I was thinking about this, building leaders is like, how do we take all of these people and interconnect them so that as one moves, they all move? As one develops, they're helping others develop. As we develop, we continue to move more pieces with the same amount of effort, right? When you think about Connects, if you hook all of those wheels together, you can turn it with the same effort, and yet you can make a whole lot of things move. You can actually make a 6-foot roller coaster move. But if it's just one individual piece, if we're not developing leaders on our team, if we don't interconnect that connect with the rest of them, what are we actually doing, right? And so when we think about this, what does this allow us to do? Well, think about it. You've got studs on your team. Everybody does. Well, what do they allow you to do? Well, they allow you not to have to focus on the stuff that you've delegated to them, the stuff that you've empowered them with. It also saves on energy, right? Like, if you've got really great people on your team, you don't have to spend as much energy with the team because they're helping you out. Everybody's working in the same direction. It also allows you to create new stuff, right? When we want to create new things, it's always nice to think back and go, okay, we have A, B, C, D, E, and F. We got those pretty well knocked out. Yeah, it's going to always take some constant massaging and making sure that it works and all of this, but can we focus on something else? Can we move to this other thing? Can we present this option now because they've got these ones under control? And I've got guys helping each other work through all of these things. So when we think about that, why would we want to do this? Why would we want to grow by multiplication as opposed to division? Well, the people on our team, when we allow them to develop, when we give them the tools necessary, all of a sudden, they begin to grow. Well, what are all the tools? Think about all the tools that we've put in place over the last 18 months. We've put their KPIs in front of them. We've given them a path to progression. We've shown them how they can grow within their thing. Now, you may not connect that to building a leader, but isn't that exactly what it is? You're allowing them, as an individual contributor, to actually lead themselves because they know how to win. They know how to win on their scoreboard. What did we talk about on the very first one that we did back in November? Show them how to win. Their scoreboard is different than yours. So show it to them. Because if they win on their scoreboard and enough of them win, guess what happens? You win on yours. But if they don't know how to get there, well, then why would they go there? What's the common thread? You wouldn't go to a Colts game if they didn't keep score. But how do we give them that motivation? How do we let them understand the why behind what we're doing so that they can develop, so that they can have a better understanding of what it's going to take to get to the next level? Yeah, some of them may not want your job. That's not what building leaders is. Building leaders is empowering people to go chase their best. Yes, one day, the hope would be as you built them up to a point where they succeed you and you move on to something bigger and better, right? But that's not going to happen for everybody, and that's okay. The goal is not for you as a service manager to build 40 service managers. The goal is for you to be able to spend the time, develop your people so that they can be the best version of themselves. That best version may mean one day that they want to take that leap up into leadership and develop others. That day will come. It will not come for all. And that's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean that they didn't reach their pinnacle. Maybe their goal is to become the best damn plumber that's ever walked the earth. All right, well, how do we give them those tools? And so when we think about this, a lot of it comes back to that gray, fuzzy, pie in the sky word of culture. What kind of culture are you building within your department? Are you willing to grow yourself? Like I just said, here after next week, you'll have essentially read a book. Have you read any others? Are you planning to? How are you yourself growing? Do you have a morning routine? Are you working out? Are you journaling? All of the things that we know are recipes for success. I can tell you a story when it comes to being a leader. For the last since before Blake was born, so she'll be 7 this year. So for the last, call it 8 years, I've been journaling every day. I write to my kids every day about something I learned, and maybe they'll find it useful, or maybe they'll just call me stupid. I don't know, but we're going to take the risk. But this past year, I've gotten out of that routine, and I've made every frickin' excuse in the book. Well, the kids keep me busy. Well, their schedule, where they may wake up and the alarm's not off yet, or all of the things that you could think of. I've made every frickin' excuse in the book. This year, I have not done well there. My morning routine's off. I'm trying to work out, but I'm not. I'm trying to get up and have a fresh perspective, but the kids take me down into negativityville pretty darn quick when they don't start listening. It's better they're going to the same school now for the summer, so I got like 45 minutes of my life back in the morning, so I'm like feeling good. But like this week, I've just made like a conscious effort. I was like, if you want people around you to grow, you have to be willing to put in the hard work as well. Because if you're not, people are going to see through that. And probably some of you have seen through that. Like, oh, yeah, it seems a little bit off. What's his deal? What's this? Well, I know what the deal is. I just have to be willing to fix it. I've got to be willing to wake up when the alarm goes off early and get my shit done. And again, you're going to go through ebbs and flows. It's not all perfect. I mean, ask anybody who's ever achieved anything. They've had periods where they didn't feel real great about themselves, or their morning was off, or their routine, or just whatever it is. I'm telling you, if you focus on that piece, your morning, how your day starts, you will be amazed at how quickly your focus improves, your ideas improve, your mood, all of these things. Think about that. Especially when we're trying to develop others, right? We have to be the best, not only for ourselves, we've got to be the best for our teams, day in and day out. People ask me a lot, like, why are you in always such a good mood? I was like, well, I can't really afford to not be. If I'm in a shitty mood, that's going to rub off on just about everybody. I have my days, trust me. Everybody does. But for the most part, when I pull into the parking lot, like it's, all right, let's roll. There's crap going on. There's all kinds of stuff, whatever it is. But like, I've got to be, for the next 8 to 10 hours, I've got to be on my game. So when you think about your own outlook and the way that you approach developing leaders, especially if you believe that multiplication is a hell of a lot faster way to get to where I want to get than simply addition, then we've got to look internally first. And the next piece is, once we are in that right frame of mind, we've got to work really hard to develop that culture within our team. We've got to make sure, first and foremost, that we are spending time with the right people. Who do we often spend the most time with? People who are struggling, right? Guys that are doing good, pat them on the back, keep doing your thing, whatever. So as I was thinking this morning and I was preparing, on a difficulty scale, where would you rank trying to, if we're just talking about gaining $20,000 a month, is it easier to work with the guy who can already do 100? Or is it easier to work with the guy who's doing 10? So 100 to 120 or 10 to 30. What is your path to get 20? Who should you spend time with? And again, that's not to say that we shouldn't spend time with the people that are struggling. We should. But are we spending enough time with the people that are doing a fantastic job out there? Can we get them to do even more? Can we empower them to do more? Not because we need them to, but more so because they're capable. Because there was a time probably in all of your careers where you said, like, I mean, I know it was for me, like we used to plumbing top of the barrel used to be, we built the damn bonus plan on it. Top of the barrel used to be, you do 45K in a month, like, whew, you are knocking it out of the park. You're the best we've ever seen. There is no way that you could ever do any more. And then all of a sudden, guys started doing 100 and then 120. And then we started seeing guys like, well, Bill can do it. Surely I can figure this out. But again, reset that bar of what the potential is. I always say, if you got a guy who thinks he's the cat's pajamas, I could probably make a phone call and find you a guy who's doing better. Now, I know that we would never have anybody around here think that they're the cat's pajamas. But if we did, we could probably find somebody. What are we doing in the way of helping others? Maybe they don't want to be the service manager, but can you empower them to help those? Think about your top 20% and your bottom 20% of your teams. What would it look like to ask for help from one of those top guys to maybe be a mentor for one of those guys that's struggling? And I know we're doing this, right? I see it. The guys, they talk, they're, buddies, they've got their guy, they've got their go-to. But what would it be like to encourage that and then also celebrate it? To also point out when someone on their team who's an individual contributor is going out of their way to help somebody else. I'm sure you guys have all talked to the guys. Oh man, hey, awesome job on that. Yeah, I called so-and-so and he helped me through it. Have we ever texted so-and-so? Have we ever let him know that, hey man, I really appreciate you encouraging him. I know he's been struggling. I'm hopeful this is the shot in the arm that he needs. I'm going to keep working with him, but anytime you can reach out to him and, tell him great job, please do. All of those little things, right? That's what begins to build the culture. And they're simple, right? But that's why we overlook them so often. That's why we're okay with addition. Because hiring a new person sounds great. I've got another one. Great. But are we spending the time with the people that we already have to keep them developing? And you know what the great thing is? We're doing it. We're doing it. Now we got to keep doing it. Now it's like double down. We figured out that addition only, not our greatest plan for growth. What we've built is a system where we can multiply people. We've built that. Now, it takes constant feeding, right? It's not like build it and forget it. It's build it and keep working on that. So as we keep working on that, as you keep building that culture within your team to always be excelling, you're celebrating wins, you're patting guys on the back for taking more of a leadership role or helping out or putting on a training or, hey, Bill, you're kicking butt out there and taking names. Why don't you hop up here and tell us what you're doing? Or inviting some of our top guys when we're going to make a change, inviting them in to say, hey, here's what we're thinking. What do you think about this? Like, would this work or not? Or what are your thoughts? I mean, you got kind of the pulse of the team. What do you think we should do? We've built that. So now when you add people, you put them into a system that allows them to multiply. So it takes both, but you've got to have one before you have the other. And the multiplication piece first starts with us. We've got to be willing to grow. Your department will not grow any faster than you are. You set the pace. As leaders in this room, you set the pace of growth for your team. That's why I got to get back on my shit, because I want this place to grow. Well, if I'm not, then shit, that's not good. I also can't sit up here. I'm just a big hypocrite. I don't want to be that. What are you doing to grow? What are you doing to learn a little bit more? What are you doing to empower your team to grow as well? It's all the little stuff. It's no big program. It's no big this. We've already got that. We got that stuff built. That's paths. That's scoreboards. That's them being able to see what they can earn. All of those things. Like, we got those big things. Now it's just about you just sprinkling in every single day. How do I touch these people? How do I make them feel appreciated? How do I encourage them to be a leader? All of those things. Because if you don't consistently water it, you're going to be spinning your wheel. You're going to be that lone wheel on the connect, because you're not touching anybody with your influence. So as we wrap up here today, a couple of things. What I want you to think about is I want you to think about your team. I want you to think about who on your team is a follower. Is there a chance that you could turn them into a leader? Is there a chance, if you spend enough time with them, you could get them chasing their potential? My guess is yes. And you know why I'm going to guess that? Because over the course of this year, I've heard so many unbelievable stories of, yep, this guy ain't going to make it. He ain't going to make it. He's not any good. And he can't show up. And he doesn't wear his uniform. And he doesn't do this. And he doesn't do this. And he doesn't do this. And my response is, well, have we worked with him? And at first, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, wake up the guy out of his bed? I'm like, well, that's a little weird, but, maybe just have a conversation. Like, let's work with him. Let's work with him. And we've seen these drastic turnarounds, because we meet every week with the regional managers, and they give us kind of a rundown of what's going on in each branch and all of this stuff. We've had so many stories. I was like, hold on a second. I thought that guy was like 1 foot out the door, like not going to last. Well, he was. But by God, he's kicking butt and taking names now. I'm like, you see? That's what you did. Now, yes, it takes a little bit of buy-in on their end, right? You're not going to save everybody. But I'm a huge believer in that we should at least make an effort. We should at least try. Because I'm sure that you can all point to stories of guys in your life that you've led, you've worked with, that went from zero to hero, and you're like, what in God's name clicked? Because you are not the same person that you were, 60 days ago. Like, what happened? And again, it's showing them the way. Who on your team are those leaders? Who's that top 10, 20% of your team? Are we just patting them on the back and, no news is good news? Or are we really leaning in? Those are got to be some of the most fun one-on-ones to have. Embrace them. Man, you are doing awesome. What can I do to help? Would you mind helping Billy over here? Do you think you could do that? Like, maybe just call him twice a week and just check on him, see how he's doing. Not only will that help Billy, that will also help who you asked. Because what's he going to feel? More appreciated. Bigger part of the team. He's going to feel like a leader. But hold on, I don't have to do time cards and all that other stuff. Like, I'm more than happy being this kind of leader. This sounds like a great plan. I got no administrative work whatsoever. Just got to make a couple phone calls. But that's how it starts. That's what becomes intoxicating, is when the team is pushing the team forward. No longer is it just you pushing. Everybody's pushing in the same direction. I want you to think about how you're spending your time. And how you're spending your time with your people, more importantly. Like, when you think about the time that you spend with your team, like, look back in last week. How much time, either phone calls, in person, whatever it is, like, think about who you took phone calls from, who you sat down and met with, who you took maybe more phone calls than another guy from, and think about that. Think about who those people are. Are those people that are in the bottom? Are they in the top? My guess is in this industry, you don't hear a lot from the top guys. They're doing their thing. But what if they did hear from you? What would that mean to them? And they're not probably going to tell you. They're probably not going to tell you for a long time that it actually meant something. They'll actually probably try everything in their power not to tell you. But that's okay. You keep pushing. You keep fighting the good fight. Because at the end of the day, your willingness and ability to build leaders within your team, again, leaders of their own journey, leaders one day maybe of a department, whatever their goal is, can they become a leader? Because what happens when you lean into them becoming a leader, your influence multiplies. It's no longer adding. Well, I used to have influence over 19 people. Now I have influence over 20. Now I have influence over 21, over 22. Think about the power you have. We talk so much about how this next generation is different. Well, what are the important things that you from your generation want to impart on this generation that they may just not get? That is how you leave a legacy, because that is the ultimate goal of leadership. How do I live a life in such a way that I have an impact on the most possible people that I can? Because what if everybody tried to do that? What kind of world would we live in? It'd be sure a hell of a lot different than it is today. But again, we have our own little world here. And my thinking is that'd be a whole hell of a lot more fun to work at a place that was intent on building leaders, creating legacy, doing all of the things that most people are unwilling to do in the name of someone else. Because if there's one thing that I've learned about leadership, is it always comes back full circle. Not in the moment, not right then and there, and it's going to feel like you're beating your head up against a wall. But if you commit to it, I am guaranteeing the stuff will come back and you'll be like, holy shit, how did I get here? Oh, wait, I just invested in others.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect with me personally, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and consider joining the CSTG arena. As always, keep growing out there.